because you shouldn't have it open on your desktop. And if you hold your mouse down, you can go through all your different programs by sliding your mouse back and forth sideways. Illustrator is this orange one that says AI. And so you're going to double click that and your Illustrator will show up. Now this is what I want you to do is we're going to create a kind of gestural looking drawing, more gestural lines. And what happens with Illustrator in comparison to Photoshop is that when you use, we're going to use our paintbrush today, just like we did Photoshop. And when you draw a line and outline something, even if it's not very smooth, it's going to smooth it and make a mathematical rendering of it. So here is all your different colors. You don't want the solid square to make a line. You want to have the frame looking one to make a line. And you can use any color that you want. Those are called strokes. So again, you can double click them and go any one of these colors that are here. So let's go blue. And you see, apparently I got a dark blue. Double click, blue, click OK. And now I have a dark blue line. And see, as I'm drawing that, can you see how unsmooth it is? It looks kind of like what we did when we were outlining our thing in Photoshop. But as soon as I let my mouse go, did you see how much more beautiful that line became? This is going to be under your stroke, brush, and size. Here's a great big one. And see it smooth up when I let go. And we're going to use touch calligraphy. So you probably, when you open it up, it'll say basic. And a basic line is just going to look smooth. But if you do the touch calligraphy line, you have 4 different choices. 3-point. I think it's much smoother. It's much more like a gesture. 10-point. 3-point. Really thin line. And a great big fat one. I don't know how many point that is. And then you also can change the points over here on the side. That it has variable width profiles. And I think if you're hooked up with your Wacom that those will work. It just doesn't work with a mouse. Okay, so to start, and again, we're trying to do something that looks a little bit more like a gesture drawing. You can add scribble drawing to it if you want, but it's going to be a lot smoother than anything you did in Photoshop. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do New, and you're going to open a brand new document, and I have my custom set at 11 by 14 over here, RGB, 11 by 14 inches, and just click create, and it should look like that, a white screen. Now here is the important step. We have to place all of our files in Illustrator for it to work right and let you do the layers. So we're going to go File to Place and find the one that you're going to draw. It should come up like this, and you click in the top corner and it will let you come and use the selection tool at the top that's open, not the closed one, and you can resize it to however big that you want that to be, that whatever looks comfortable. That
Which tool do they come from?
this one right here is called a selection tool. All right, next very important step is to lock that layer so that we don't accidentally draw on it. Now remember our eyeballs that I showed you that turn things off and on in Photoshop? In Illustrator, you have your eyeball, and right next to your eyeball, you lock it. And it has a little lock there. Now when I go to my paintbrush, this is where we're going, if it's a pencil and a line drawing through, that's because you haven't made a new layer. And we're going to go ahead and create a new layer like we did a little bit ago in Photoshop. And now that paintbrush has a paintbrush there with a star, and I can choose my size of my calligraphy, the uniform of my calligraphy, and then make sure I am on the calligraphy tool, which is at the top. And it should say touch calligraphy when I'm here. So you also can make it more or less opaque if you don't want your lines to be all the same darkness. And here's my layer here. And I find you don't even have to worry so much about how fast and slow you did it like in Photoshop, because it's going to smooth that line up right away and make it a prettier line. So it'll allow you to move your mouse or your Wacom a lot quicker. So it is more like a gestural drawing. And I'll usually do this in multiple layers. So if I did something I didn't like, I could go back and turn it off with my eyeball. So I'm just going to outline her real quickly. And I'm not really worried about being super accurate. I just want that pretty line that was there. And we aren't necessarily coloring it in or anything. We're trying to do gesture. So anytime where you've done an awful lot and you don't, like I haven't drawn eyes or anything like that yet, don't think that you're going to need to change it, then I'll draw it on one layer. But if I was doing a really serious drawing in this, like I'm going to have you do from one of your own drawings next time, then I'd be using more layers. So that looks like quite a lot, so I'm going to lock it and do a new layer and then work on her face. And I can always zoom in just like we did in Photoshop so that you have it bigger to work on if you want. See how pretty that makes that line automatically. And so it's much easier drawing platform than drawing in Photoshop. You just have to remember where it is and how to get yourself there. And when we're just using that really pretty paintbrush. All right, when you get all of your basic drawing on, then if you want to do some more gestural type, or if you want to do more shading, gesture like that, you could do that. And if you're worried about it, do it on a new layer, and you can always turn it off and try it again. Or like Photoshop, you can undo what you just did. So when you're finished, then if you put this on the screen, you fit in window, you can turn off the background. Oops. And then you have a more gestural type line drawing. Like I got that one there. What questions do you have? All right, so again, you file new, place the picture, make sure the picture is pretty big, and lock that bottom layer. and then new layers to draw. And then if you're having trouble, let me know. That's all there is to this. That I will come back near the end of class, which is going to be in a half hour. Hopefully you'll have some kind of gesture drawn in a half hour and help you save it.